Welcome back, attractive and well-educated watchers, to Lord Reverend PhilosoShy. It's been a long time, like a long time, but their reason for that was because of all sorts of things. If you've been paying any attention to our Reads channel in the not too distant past, you'll have seen that things have been going on. It's been rough. There's been some death, a surprising amount of death, actually. So, suffice to say, we've had to take care of things beyond the screen for quite a while, and that means we've only been kind of struggling by here. But, long ago, several years ago, we had a poll for our next response video, and the people have spoken. We don't actually have that available right now, but the people spoke. And the result was Hans Wormhat. Now, the first response video on this channel that we ever did was in response to Hans Wormhat, and we nearly lost our mind. We think we almost popped a vein. And we did another response video to Spirit Science in between that. You know, people voted for that, and that was cool. But we decided that we wanted to take a step back and kind of reconsider the sort of approach that we wanted to take with this, especially considering that we're trying to look to go into politics, we're trying to go into other things, we're trying to get creative, trying to become a voice actor. Maybe it's probably best for our health if we not make a thing of screaming angrily at stupid people on the internet. But that isn't any reason to say that we shouldn't respond to people on the internet. So, without further ado, here we are. We are going to watch Hans Wormhat, Satan Fakes Animals. This is one of the older videos, but this was the video that we explicitly decided back when the poll was done that we were going to do. So we are nothing if not shy of our word. Here we are. Why Satan Fakes Animals? Hans Wormhat. Let's take another go at this. We'll try to be a little less infuriated by your very existence, much as we're sure many people would agree that there are plenty of reasons to be so. So, yeah, if you're excited to see what happens here today, remember to like, subscribe, comment, share, go on down to our Patreon via that Linktree link in the description. Pledge even $1 a month to help support the cause. Join the mighty ranks of all of the lovely people in the credits section at the end of every video to get your name in the game over on our game channel and maybe other places. And, yeah, definitely will help out around here, and it'll help us get things going out easier because we'll be able to pay the bills. So without further ado, let's get to it. Hans Wormhat, tell us why Satan fakes animals.
Today's Thursday, November 5th, 2020.
Already off to such a poor start. Right there, boom, first sentence. It's not that, that's not the date. The date today, as of recording this video, is February 8th, 2025. Come on, Hansi, get with the times.
And today I'm just gonna explain, as simply as I can, why people make up animals. And it's nothing new.
Alright, Hans, we'll admit. We won't deny it. You're absolutely right. This one time, and that specific metric about what you just said. It is nothing new. People have been making weird, fantastical animals for a long time, just like people have been making up weird stories about how Satan fakes them for a long time. The idea behind the conspiratorial nature of humankind is that we like to make up stories that make the world sound cooler and more fantastical than it is. Mostly because our imaginations are quite stunted and our experiences are quite limited. So, yeah, that's usually why. We like to tell good stories, and we have imaginations that aren't nearly as cool as reality has shown itself over the past several thousand years to be. Your imagination in particular is quite stunted, as evidenced by the fact that you believe in so very little of reality.
Way back in the day, if you've ever looked at really old maps that have oceans on it, you'll usually see a few scary ocean monsters drawn on the map.
Whoa, awesome! Oh, this is actually very exciting. Okay, so one thing a lot of people might not know about us is we were raised doing living history. We a lot of people call us a historian. We like to kind of call ourselves a hobbyist citizen historian, as it were. When people need to know stuff about history, they talk to us. So fun fact, those dragons and whales and monsters and angels and stuff on these old maps, They were totally there. That's absolutely true. But the point of that stuff wasn't initially actually to be like, oh, there is a dragon in this direction, don't sail there. The people of the medieval era, much like people now, had a very well developed ideal and philosophy behind aesthetics. And part of that philosophy, part of that ideal, was a lack of empty space on these sort of things. They didn't like seeing, big empty sections of the Pacific Ocean on this map. Ink was kind of expensive and difficult to make. Maps were pretty rudimentary back then. These things were just as much, in a sense, pieces of art and propaganda as they were, navigational devices. It's a very complicated historical thing. Suffice to say, those weird animals and stuff on those maps were absolutely like illustrations. They were absolutely like set dressing for the map. The people drawing these dragons and whales and monsters didn't actually believe that they were real. That's, you don't have to take our word for it. There are several. You go to just go to your local like history department at your university. We're absolutely sure that there are a couple of like daily life and history professors who will be more than happy to talk to you about it. You're going to be hearing that one a lot. Go to your local university. We're sure there's a lot of professors who will be more than happy to talk about these kind of things if you just, find them in a spare moment. Before we went on, we're happy you brought that up. Some people actually do believe that, people believe that there, here there be dragons out there actually means like, oh, geez, blah, 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 they're actually monsters. No, it mostly just meant like there's nothing out here worth talking about. There's just dangers out here. Don't go out here. All of those things on the edges and everything, the whale, fish monster shooting, jets of water out of its nose. They didn't think that was real. That was just, that was a canny decoration that was basically required if you wanted your map to catch on at the time.
And people have been telling tall tales of fake animals probably since the beginning. And people still come up with them. I guess Chupacabra is pretty recent invention, and it's just nothing new. Chupacabra, got the jackalope. Every area has their own hoax animals. Drop Bear's a double hoax because it's a hoax built on a hoax.
Right, and here's where we start to learn that Hans Wormhat legitimately believes that some of the single most handled, well-established, well-known animals on the entire planet are just hoaxes. He believes that koalas are all just animatronic plushies. He believes that no apes exist at all, that they're all just Satan faking animals to convince us that evolution is real or something. We mean, evolution is real, but he thinks that it's a grand conspiracy by Satan to tease people away from God, we guess, or something. That's kind of what we're on this video for. He believes that anything that he can't personally see and touch is not real. So any animal that comes from anywhere in the world outside of his silly little neighborhood appears to be what he believes the world is limited to.
Koalas are not real animals. They're just little plushies that people used to build a taxidermy bear and stick it up in a tree, and they tell people that it's an animal. And nowadays it's just a little bit more advanced. They have CGI and animatronics.
Whoa, buddy, those are some tall-ass claims right there, and as somebody who knows a lot of people who live in Australia, that we're gonna have to incorporate this alarm into our future interactions with you and probably other people making such incredibly outstanding claims. We're going to call this the citation needed alarm. Whenever we need a citation for something so completely ridiculous that we cannot take your word for it under any circumstances at any time, we're going to play that alarm, okay? It's going to be our citation needed alarm. We're going to put a big thing up top. Whenever you say that kind of shit in front of our face and we hear it, you're gonna get the citation alert, citation required. We will need you to put your fucking money where your mouth is. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of claims. To what end? To who's paying for this animatronic plushy spiracy over the entire world throughout numerous nations which have to presumably be working together just to fake all of the koalas and ever for reasons? And at the same time, these nations can't even, like, get their shit together on basic fucking shit like vaccines or climate change or germ theory and shit like that. But you think that they're all together in on this. This is so ridiculous. We're gonna need you to put some evidence on the table right here. Citation fucking needed, bro. Moving on.
There's Wolpertinger. It's just nothing new. The platypus, people knew that the platypus was a hoax when they first came out with it.
No, Hans, they did not know that the platypus was a hoax because the platypus is not a hoax. What happened was the first specimen of a platypus brought back to Europe was so fucking wild to everybody that saw it that they reasonably were skeptical as to the veracity of the claim that was being offered to them. So, later on, more people went back to Australia and found out by seeing for themselves that indeed the platypus was not a hoax, that it was a real thing, it was not a bunch of animals torn apart and sewn together into one horrible Frankenmonster. It became a Frankenmonster by itself. Naturally, through evolution. You know, as you do.
The platypus is so weird that scientists, even the scientists, thought the first specimen was a hoax. And they were right.
No, they were wrong.
But there's this whole concept of a big lie. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it.
And presumably, that is why you continue, to this day, to tell the same lies that you were telling in this very video 5 years ago. You're basically a flat earther. In fact, if we recall correctly, we think you are a flat earther. But you're a flat earther for more than just the shape of the earth, wherein some truly uneducated, honestly misinformed, legitimately misled individual might be fooled for believing in the flat earth. But you, Hans, you're a special sort of dishonest. You refuse to even go to the goddamn zoo and ask the staff there if you can get a close-up time with this animal so you can prove to yourself that it's real.
And so just like the platypus, the scientists at the time, they knew it was a hoax.
No, Hans, once again, they did not know that it was a hoax. They utilized reasonable skepticism and did not accept the claim that they were given until future evidence and data was gathered to confirm the claim, after which the overwhelming scientific community accepted the existence of the fucking platypus. You should consider doing it too. Correct yourself. Try to be right sometime. It's super neat.
But they just kept telling the lie over and over and over again, and it's just been adopted, and people just assume it's true.
Do you know where platypuses have been held historically in zoos in the past? There have been platypuses in Germany post-World War I, in the interwar period. There have been platypuses in the Budapest Zoo in Hungary, or in Rotterdam Zoo in the Netherlands. There have been platypuses stored and kept in San Diego Zoo and in the UK and all sorts of other places during times when these people were not getting along. Like they were not okay with each other. So if the UK has a platypus in their zoo, and fucking almost Nazi Germany has a platypus in their zoo at the same time, and of all the things they can't agree on, they both agree, yeah, platypuses are real, we both have them, it's all good. I mean, those are about as disparate as you can get, and you still think that this conspiracy is legitimate. This is so completely unbelievable. We know that this, you, Hans Wormhat, are a hoax. We know that you are, at this point, even 5 years ago, by that point, you cannot believe legitimately what you are saying. If you do, the world is punishingly small to you.
No, platypus are not real. That's one of the biggest animals that they use to try to push evolution. When you start to get the hang of what the fake animals are the ones that you don't just see running around outside like squirrels and cats and dogs.
And there it is, folks. There it is. If it isn't part of Hans Wormhat's tiny, itty-bitty little American suburban world, it doesn't exist. You know an animal is fake, according to Hans Wormhat, because you don't see it running around like cats and dogs and squirrels. This really does show exactly what we said. Either this guy is just lying, or the world is so punishingly small to him that he can't even imagine an environment beyond his own little world, his own little habitat. We have to wonder if this kind of guy ever goes, like, camping. If he ever leaves the city and goes into the woods. What would he do if he saw a bear approach him? Like, we're not super well traveled, but we have handled a lot of animals. Like we've been close to bears in nature. We've been within punching distance of moose in nature. We have, in certain zoos, we have played tug of war with literal live tigers. We have pet cheetahs. We have pet koalas. We have touched a kangaroo. We have eaten kangaroo. We have handled ostriches. We really want to get an emu. Like, we've personally, we're a farmer. We've handled a lot of animals. We've even handled animals that we've ridden an elephant. Like, we've been to all of these experiences personally. So we can tell you they're real. Like, we're not being paid by someone. We're a shitty poor ass farmer on coastal Oregon. So we can confirm we're not being paid for this. Like, these are just experiences that we've had. In the future, we plan on wrestling alligators, wrestling fucking bears. We know somebody who has a cougar that they have special mitts for in a muzzle, but they have to wrestle with this cougar. And we've been over here like, oh my god, yes, please let us wrestle this cougar. Like, we're that kind of person. We're that kind of shy. So it's amazing how if we want to go wrestle a cougar, like, we can find somebody with a cougar to wrestle. If we want to go find a bear, they're out there. Man, it's a thing. If you want to find weird animals, you would be surprised at how easy it is to go and find them if you go out and look for them. It's exactly what we were saying earlier about, like, if you want to know this thing about history, if you want to know this thing about science, about evolution, about anything, go to your local fucking university and find the relevant professor in the relevant field and ask them about it once they've got a little free time, once they're not talking to a class or whatever. And we guarantee it, like, as somebody who's done this before, and we plan on doing this more in the future and trying to get this onto the channel a little bit, when we do that, most professors will be very happy. Even if you say, like, hey, I'm not a member of your class, I'm not at this college, I don't know much about science, I'm just trying to get into it, I'm not very educated about this, but I'm coming in it with an open mind, I really want to hear what, like, the authorities want to say. They will be delighted. We've talked to several professors, they're very happy to get these kind of questions. So frankly, Hans, like, we think at this point, like, obviously if the people want it, we'll keep going on this video, but we don't think there's anything more to say, man. You have personally made the willful conclusion, the decision to ignore the existence of the entire world outside of your own little neighborhood. And that is not only to your detriment, but it's to the detriment of everybody who watches you and believes what you say, because they are literally getting their advice, their information on the world, their position of what is true. They're getting that from somebody who evidently has never experienced life outside the middle of the fucking city. Have you ever seen a deer? Have you ever touched a marmot? Have you ever wandered up and had a fucking conversation with a fox in the wild? Has a coyote ever gotten on to the fucking max rail, on the light rail that you're going to work on, and sat on a chair across from you? All of these things have happened in our life. Like all of these things have happened. We were from Oregon. We were living in Oregon for a while, and they had a coyote that would get onto the light rail every day and go back and forth. Always gets on at the same stop, always gets off at the same stop. At the end of the day, always gets off on where he got off, always gets off where he got on originally. He's almost certainly dead now. This was like 10 years ago, but like we have seen all of these animals. We have personally interacted with all of these animals here. But we bet Hans Wormhat would not believe in over half of the animals that we've mentioned that we personally interacted with. He would just say that, you know, we're a shill. We're part of the Illuminaboopy. We're part of, you know, the conspiracy that Satan makes or whatever. As far as we're concerned, this has nothing to do with, you know, why Satan does anything. Hans, why are you so unworldly? Why are you so not cosmopolitan that you don't believe in anything that you can't personally see running around in the street outside of your mom's basement window? This is really pathetic, dude. Just go to a fucking zoo. Go to a university. Go to a fucking wildlife sanctuary. Go to a fucking literally anything, man. The world is so much bigger than you have made up your mind that it is. And that is not only... That doesn't only make you a little pathetic. It's just a sad thing. It's a sad idea. And the more we look at you, you know, and the more we think back to our first interaction, our first response to you, back then we were responding with such rage and anger, and, you know, we don't really want to be that kind of shy anymore. But more importantly, now that we look at you, we're just sad. We're over here like, oh my god, boy, you live like this? Yeah, sorry guys, we gotta check out. This is just a little too depressing that people can close their, not just their minds, but their entire worlds off like this. So yeah, we're gonna get going, everybody. Thanks for coming, everybody. If you liked what you saw here today, remember to like, subscribe, comment, share, going down to our Patreon via that Linktree link in the description. Pledge even just $1 a month to help support the cause. Join the mighty man ranks of all the lovely people in the credit section at the end of every video, right here. You can see that. And get your name in the game over on our video game channel, where we name stuff after our patrons. Thanks a bunch for coming, everybody. Stay safe, stay inside, stay healthy, and of course, remember to help each other. Stand strong, stand together, vote progressive, vote Bull Moose.